Where were you on September the 8th, 2018? The reason why I ask is because that's a big day in Rider Nation history. It's the last time the Saskatchewan Roughriders beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Winnipeg. September 8th, 2018, Banjo Bowl. That was 2,554 days ago. The head coach, Chris Jones. Remember him? The gunslinger, the man in black, starting quarterback for that game, none other than Zach Collaros. Final score was 32-27 for the Riders. It's been a long time. It feels like a lifetime since the Riders have won when they've gone east to Winnipeg. And I've been saying it since the preseason. Probably you're sick and tired of hearing it. Oh, Maz, enough. But this team and all the talent that J.O. and Corey Mace have assembled is special. Everybody said the Riders are the best roster on paper this year. But unless we can slay the dragon or find a way to get past our kryptonite, winning in Winnipeg, our season may not turn out how we want. In less than 24 hours, we're going to find out who these 2025 Riders are. Dragon Slayers? We sure hope so. Really hope so. Hey, it's the Friday edition of the Sports Cage. How are you? It's Maz in for Barney. Sharky is here as well, along with one of the Double C's, Coles and Schultz. For the next 3 hours, we're talking sports right here on 620 CKRM and on the CKRM app. You can live stream the Sports Cage on our social channels, on X at Sports Cage, and on our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Calls are always welcome at 866-767-0620. The Sports Cage is for Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Sharky is set up at Leibel Field as we get ready for the University of Regina Rams home opener tonight against the U of A Golden Bears. There is so much going on. NFL season started last night. Cowboys, Eagles. But then there's a whole other storyline. We've got Spitgate. That Hawk Tua girl, she was back all over social media again yesterday. You can't not go anywhere without seeing the Hawk Tua girl. Cowboys look better than I thought. Critical weekend for the Jays. They're taking on the Yankees. It's a first-place showdown. Lots of preseason hockey. Canada's once again being embarrassed on a world stage. We're going to have a NASCAR report with the NASCAR prayer in front of it. Maybe even a Pilsner Cup update. Sharky, I don't know if this will all fit in 3 hours. Can we get a commit from you? If we got to go 4 hours, you've cleared it with the wife. You're good to stay.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. There's no problem. I can be as long as you need me to be. No questions asked. Spitgate. Yeah. Did you? I mean, they didn't even get a snap off. Like, not even a snap. And the guy's thrown out of the game. Like, obviously the Eagles are going to have a long talk with Mr. Carter. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Dak's not innocent. All right? Because I missed the first quarter.
He didn't spit on him.
Didn't spit on him, but he spit towards him. So I missed the first quarter of the game. So I had to catch up. I go on Twitter and it's like, oh, the Spitgate and Jalen Carter kicked out, best defensive player in the NFL, already out of the game and all that. So I went back and I watched it all by about, late second quarter, early third quarter on the broadcast. Then they showed the Dak Prescott where he actually walks up and says, well, I didn't want to spit on my lineman, so I spit towards him. But apparently they were jawing back and forth. Now it's turning into a he said, she said. Because at first it was just Jalen Carter is guilty, kick him out of the game. But there was that storyline. Hawk Tua was back on social media was melting down anyways. But Sharky, didn't the Cowboys play better than you thought? They could have won the game
better
had CeeDee Lamb caught the ball. So keep in mind, they wrecked Vegas because Philly was 8.5-point favorites. And Dallas just blew up the plans. I thought the Cowboys played well.
I thought they played really well. I actually think the rain delay hurt the Cowboys more than it hurt the Eagles because it took some of the momentum away from what the Cowboys were doing. They looked really sharp. I mean, that first drive, they went down the field with no questions asked, scored a touchdown. I was impressed the way the Cowboys looked early in the game. Eagles responded. Like, give them credit. They did not get back on their heels. They stayed with them. But the Eagles are literally the best team in football. And the Cowboys played with them for 95% of that game. And like you say, CeeDee Lamb dropping a couple of balls. takes away the opportunity for the Cowboys to get back. But if you look at the Cowboys, though, they used a lot of different pieces to make that happen, right? They did rely on CeeDee Lamb, but a lot of their offense came from other parts, and I thought that was impressive in the way they played.
Brian Schottenheimer, although he's a nobody when it comes to being a head coach, is a pretty good offensive play caller. And I thought their play calling compared to Mike McCarthy last year, it looked fresh, it looked inventive. He was moving guys around. I thought it was good. It was great to have the NFL back. Now, if you're Roger Goodell, you're sitting there going, not only was everybody stoked because it's game one of the season, now there's 9 other storylines that have bubbled over. Nobody even cares that Kansas City and LA are playing tonight in Brazil, that Patrick Mahomes... Nope. MVP, they're Super Bowl champs. Like, it's a non-issue at this moment until kickoff. And then if Taylor Swift's at the game, that will take over. Hey, I just got to say, Prairieland Rentals text line is always open at 306-936-6262. You watch that game. What do you think? Should Jalen Carter have been kicked out? Should he be suspended going forward? Was that enough? Are you feeling good about tomorrow in Winnipeg? Where is your head at? Are you tired of the Connor McDavid sounding like Mitch Marner 2.0? There's a lot going on.
Okay, so first off, Jalen Carter tossed. Yep. Right move. Can't spit on guys. Yep. You just can't. If he'd have turned and spit away and caught the back of somebody else, fine, but you can't. He directly threw a loogie right on Dak Prescott. Like, there was no doubt of what he was trying to do. There's a loogie right on you. Jalen Carter thrown out's the right move. I don't think there's a suspension involved. I think the toss from the game is going to be it for that. There's going to be a scolding from Roger Goodell, but that's going to be as far as it goes. Winnipeg and the Riders tomorrow. Really excited about the rematch of Labor Day. Really excited about the Riders as a whole. I mean, they're pretty healthy going back into this game. I thought the Riders had more control over the Winnipeg game outside of a fumble that gave Winnipeg a chance to come back. We take that fumble out of that game and, they march down to get a field goal or at least, kick and hold Winnipeg deep. That game is well over before that point. So I think the Riders played better than the score indicated, and Winnipeg got a chance late to make it more interesting. I'm going to take the Riders going into Winnipeg. I really am. I think they're the team to beat. Winnipeg hasn't done it yet. You know what I mean? Calgary beat them, and so it was up to the Riders to beat Calgary. They didn't get it done. Winnipeg hasn't done it yet, so I think it's the Riders game. Now, what was the third one? Where were we? Yankees? No?
No, we'll get into the McDavid stuff. Our first guest, Andrew Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk, is going to be coming up in about 10 minutes, the Hustler. He was in town at the game last week, and it's funny that you mentioned that the Riders or the Bombers couldn't get it done. When I looked up the stats, I couldn't believe that we haven't won there since 2018. 2,554 days. That's a long time. That's a generation of Rider fans ago. Chris Jones era was alive and well. Zach Collaros, our starting quarterback. Like, it was a totally different landscape. But if we can't win in Winnipeg, because we have to go back there and play again.
We do.
And Calgary's turning out to be our kryptonite this year too. But this Bomber thing, we got to get it solved if we're going to move and go to that next level, like the Bombers have the past 5 years, making these Grey Cups in these Western Conference Finals.
You were adamant earlier in the season, in the preseason, that the Riders were going to be dictated as what kind of team they were by these 2 games against Winnipeg. That was your mark. That's where you said that the deal was going to be made or won. The Riders, I think, outplayed them on Labor Day, especially on defense. If you look at holding Brady Oliveira to 5 carries or something, like when you can't run the ball, it changes the way you play football. So I thought on defense we did a great job. 5 sacks. We had 5 sacks at Collaros.
I know.
Right? Our defensive line can control the tempo and the play, and I don't see Winnipeg matching that in that sort of scenario. I do agree that we got to win there, whether it's this one or the next one. We can't let them take both. We got to win one of those games. What people don't realize is the Riders used 2 running backs very, very successfully in that game. They got yards, they got touchdowns, they got they got to give each other a break so that they were fresh going in. I think the Riders' running game looked really good, and I got a ton of confidence going into Winnipeg tomorrow. I really do.
I asked Barney on the show on Tuesday. We won, which was great, but I knew it was going to be a close game. Like, the Bombers are not going to go away. And I said to him, and he came clean and admitted, he said he thought that the Riders were just going to blow the doors off the Bombers. And I'm like, I get it. They've lost some players and they've lost a step and all of that. Hey, how about Dalton Schoen playing on a torn ACL? He's back on the 6th game. He tore it in the Calgary game, and he manned up and played it. He played against the Riders, and he got hurt on the pick 2 convert there. But he's officially done. Like, kudos to you, man. Guts. But like Barney said, he thought he was expecting, and there was a lot of chatter online from Rider fans thinking that they were just going to, like, it was going to be like a 52-10, like, route. And I'm like, no, not as long as Caleros is the starting quarterback. And I don't know that you're going to be able to hold Brady Oliveira to 25 yards again. If you do, hey, that's great. But tomorrow, Winnipeg, they're probably going to try and get him going, because if they can get him going, it opens up everything else in what they're going to try and do.
That's what they're going to want. I would even watch for if Winnipeg wins the toss to take the ball, right? Just so that they can try to get Oliveira underway right away. And it's interesting that you mentioned that Oliveira piece, because they didn't use their other back at any time. They just used Oliveira. Right? They didn't try to change their back setup or give the Riders a different look. The Riders were prepared for everything they had in terms of Oliveira, took him away. And also, I mean, Winnipeg was up 10-0. Like, that's the time to run the ball. And the Riders took it away. They just took it away and forced Winnipeg to go to the air. So, and the Schoen thing with the torn ACL, feel for a guy, man, because that's a year out. Like, that's a long time for that thing to heal if it's torn. And it's a bad injury. It's a terrible injury, but wish him all the best in getting better, because there's nothing worse than a torn ACL.
Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, is in Winnipeg. I think they're at the stadium trying to do the press thing. We'll have him on with us after 5. Also on the show today, Farhan Lalji from TSN will join us. And Mark McConkey, U of R Rams head coach. Tonight it is the big home opener. The U of A Golden Bears are in town at Leibel Field, where Sharky is set up. It was a crazy week 1 in U Sports. Involving the Rams. So I want to ask him. Last year turned out to be a special team, and this year, of course, if they go all the way, Vanier Cup is in Regina and all that. I want to ask. I know it's early, but do you just know as a coach? Do you get those feelings or the vibes, as the kids are overusing these days, when you know you may have something? Because last week, that was a game where you're like, unless you kind of got a little bit of football god stuff and a little bit of vibe on your side, you don't win those games.
You know, when we talked earlier about the whole Canada West football, they'd ranked them 1 through 6. And I said that was like rolling dice. You could put any team in any spot in that 1 through 6. There is no team that I think in Canada West completely dominates over any other. So, it's a case of who's going to play their best ball on game day against the others. The Rams got a ton from Erickson. Good God, they got to love that. Second generation Ram. It's incredible what they got out of him. But Calgary didn't go away. Like, Calgary did not go away in this football game, stayed in it, and gave themselves a chance to win at the end. And but the Rams were more successful in the end. I think that if you ask McConkey that question, he's going to tell you he does have something special. He's got the right mix. And meeting with him late last year after the Hardy Cup, it was pretty indicative that he thought he had just the right mix coming back.
Let's take our first break here. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, as mentioned, Andrew Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk. Hustler will be joining us to talk not only Bombers. I also want to ask him about Jonathan Toews being a Winnipeg Jet. We'll do that when we return. This is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Hey, don't forget, when the Riders play, get the KFC Game Day Special. The Big Crunch is just $4.95, and the Big Crunch Combo for just $7.95 at participating KFC locations. Tomorrow, the 620 CKRM Rider Broadcast Network, brought to you by the Cooperators, has Countdown to Kickoff starting at 11, the Rider pregame show at 1, and Dave and Luke will have the call. Bombers and Riders kickoff will go 2 o'clock from Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg. Thanks for being part of the show this Friday afternoon. It's Maz and Sharky, who's at Leibel Field, as we bring in our next guest to talk Bomber football, but a little bit of Winnipeg Jets as well. Andrew Paterson, the Hustler. He's the host of Winnipeg Sports Talk.
What's up, fellas?
No, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Look,
I'm doing well. I'm fired up for my Chiefs to play tonight, and triple header, Banjo Bowl in the CFL tomorrow, and then the first weekend of NFL. I mean, honestly, one of my favorite weekends of the year. Maybe number one, to be honest.
Before we talk football, can I ask you, after seeing that Jonathan Taves picture of him in the practice jersey the other day, and I'm not a Jets fan, I don't have any skin in the game, but that's got to feel good as a Jets fan, right? The hometown guy he's home and he's going to be suiting up. How are you feeling about Jets hockey this year?
Oh man, I'm fired up. I mean, listen, it's a tough act to follow, winning the President's Trophy, and obviously there's been some offseason changes with Nikolai Ehlers leaving, who's a big loss, but I mean, the Taves signing is the most significant signing in Winnipeg Jets 2.0 history, by far. I mean, I guess you could talk about Bobby Hull, like back before my time, coming to Winnipeg, which in a lot of ways, I'm not sure we've got a team or anything happens if that doesn't happen. But in this era of the 2.0 Winnipeg Jets, I mean, there's nothing that's even close to it. And I think a lot of Winnipeg fans, when the team came back, watching Taves win his cups and being one of the top players in the world, always dreamed of this, but it never seemed like it was ever really a possibility. And, you know, with the amount of interest he had in his services coming back to the league, the fact that he decided to play in his hometown with the Winnipeg Jets, I think says a lot about him, but also a lot about where this team is right now. I mean, he wasn't coming back just to play on the fourth line somewhere and say, oh, I made it back to the NHL, wanted a chance to win, and also wanted to really kind of regain his love of the game. And you know, I give so much credit to Rick Bowness originally and Scott Arniel for the way that they completely flipped the culture of the team. It's a really good team. It's a close-knit team with a bunch of great people on it, and Taves chose it. So it has definitely ramped up anticipation for that home opener and the upcoming season, even maybe more than it normally would be coming off such a great year the Jets had on the ice last season.
So I got a quick question for you on that. Taves is obviously not brought in to replace Ehlers in that position in the lineup as a centerman versus Ehlers played more on the wing. Who do you picture stepping up into Ehlers' role on the wing and being a part of that line?
Gustav Nyquist. He was their off-season signing, 1-year deal, 2 years removed from a career year, 75 points with the Nashville Predators. So that's the guy that I think to begin the season will get that opportunity. He didn't have a great year last year. I mean, no one in Nashville did. And then he was traded to Minnesota and it was sort of pretty mid. But I would expect that it'll be Cole Perfetti and Taves and Nyquist as line 2 to begin the season. And if it goes well, they'll go with that. If not, they'll look to some other guys to maybe step up for a bigger opportunity. I mean, Brad Lambert, the former first-round pick who played with the Moose last year, will certainly go into training camp trying to show that he's ready for prime time. And I think, you know, with the offensive chops that he has and the speed that he has, he would be a player that, you know, if Nyquist was unavailable, for instance, you know, they might look to a player like that to get in. But certainly out of the gate, I think Nyquist is the guy with Taves and Perfetti. And, you know, if they have to make changes, they will. But he'll get the first crack at that spot for sure.
Nice.
Andrew Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk joins us on the Western Pizza guest hotline here. We're going to get to the Labor Day rematch, Bombers, Riders, but we're talking a little bit of hockey. Now, I know that you're in Winnipeg, but from my perspective, if we went back to the Western Conference final last year, I thought, because just how they played them in the regular season, that the Winnipeg Jets would have matched up better against the Edmonton Oilers than the Dallas Stars did against the Oilers. Do you feel in your heart of hearts, if it would have been Oilers-Jets, maybe Oilers win, but would have been a closer or better series had those two teams met in the Western Conference final?
Yeah, you know what, Maz? I mean, listen, I do agree. I mean, the Jets have played well. And I mean, let's face it, these two teams played in 2021 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. with Draisaitl and with McDavid, and the Jets swept them.
Mm-hmm.
So they certainly have had. Listen, I think so much of that series did revolve around goaltending. And listen, Jake Ottinger was brilliant in the series against Winnipeg, and he was nowhere near that level in the series against Edmonton. But I do think, to your point, I mean, Edmonton really found their way around Dallas, and I think they were just a faster team for the most part. I mean, Dallas does a lot of things really well, but they didn't have the team speed, and they had a real tough time dealing with some of the things that the Oilers were bringing. So, listen, if you redid it, would I give the Jets a better chance? Well, put it this way. If you got A-level Hellebuck, 100%, I mean, that was sort of there at times in the playoffs. Other times it wasn't, although it certainly was trending better as the playoffs went on. So we'd like to think about that. But I guess here in Winnipeg, they'll hope that they'll get a chance to actually see how that happens in reality, winning a couple rounds next year and getting to that point. And let's face it, if you want to make it to the Stanley Cup final, at some point, you're likely going to have to go through McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers.
Interesting you bring up Hellebuck, because the team that we're talking about them playing, the Edmonton Oilers, also aren't satisfied with their goaltending situation. And I don't think either of them should complain. I think they're both great young goaltenders with lots of future ahead of them. You got to remember, the guy who won in Florida is 37 or 38 years old. He's not 25. And these goaltenders are relatively young. So I think there's lots of mileage in front of both of those goaltenders.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got a lot of time for Stuart Skinner. I think it was I think he got into that role maybe sooner than was expected. But I mean, listen, he played well enough. He won the job and he stuck with it. I mean, Edmonton fans are a little nuts, if you ask me. I mean, they were so spoiled. They were so spoiled through the 80s, with Gretzky and Messier and all that. And then they go through the decade of darkness, blow number one pick after number one pick, and then get gifted with Connor McDavid. And it's just sort of their back. Like, I mean, they're so fortunate for having what they do have. It's like, and I mean, Dustin Nielsen, who's my partner on the Lock Shop, who does the morning show in Edmonton, they have so much fun with the way that people just turn on guys so fast in that market. And there's always some whipping boy. And listen, that's not exclusive. It's not exclusive to Edmonton.
No.
But I think it's cranked up a little bit more in that market, as opposed to some, certainly here in Winnipeg. So he is still a young goaltender with a very bright future. And the funny thing is, as everyone tries to run him out of town and get some new guy, there's no guarantee that that new guy is going to be much better. And I do think that Stuart Skinner has a really bright future. And maybe without the spotlight and all the pressure that goes with being the goaltender on a team with McDavid, on a team that's expected to win every single night, he might do better going forward. But listen, the guy lost his job. He regained it. He's been to the Cup final 2 years in a row. Most teams and most fan bases would take that, to be frank.
But nobody's questioning Hellebuck yet, even though he didn't help Winnipeg get through the second round. Right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, no, people are certainly question him. I mean, if you you can be the best player in the world, but if you don't play at that level that you have been accustomed to playing, people will be asking what happened. I mean, listen, he had 2 shutouts in the series against Dallas. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, the game that they lost, they scored 1 goal. So, listen, the first series was not normal Hellebuck. I mean, he was really shaky, and listen, to the team's credit, they battled through it. And to Hellebuck's credit, they battled through it. I mean, game 7, he was down 2-0. Basically went in the lineup, said, guys, get us to the thing. If there's not another one that's going in. And he did exactly that. So, listen, you won't find many people going at Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg. The guy just won the first Hart Trophy in the history of the team. He's got 3 Vezina trophies. He's going to be going straight to the Hall of Fame. But the one thing that is incomplete for Hellebuck is, another great playoff run and hopefully eventually winning a Stanley Cup. And that's clearly his goal. But, you won't find many people in Winnipeg signing up for any sort of a swap of Hellebuck for anybody right now. I mean, have another playoff runs. I mean, maybe at some point you ask, what the story is, but right now he's their franchise. He's their best player. They got to worry maybe about Kyle Connor's contract, But Hellebuck signed, sealed, and delivered. Lucky, thankful to have him, and hopefully he can raise his level even more come next year's playoffs, assuming they make it.
All right. On behalf of Tourism Regina, I want to personally thank you and everybody you brought with you last weekend for supporting our economy. You were in town for the Labor Day Classic. You guys rolled how many deep on buses coming to the game? Because you guys represented well. I mean, Bombers always travel well to Labor Day, but how many? I saw your pictures on your social media. How many of there were you last Sunday in Regina?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you the entire contingent. I can tell you, we did a bus last year. We did 2 this year. I mean, there were groups that had 4 and 5. I'll just say this, and I've been done Labor Day for a long time. Had to show up 8 times to finally see a win. Things have kind of gotten a little more even the last few years. The Bombers are more competitive. But we certainly earned that first victory, that final game in the old stadium. But it really felt this past weekend like Labor Day, the Labor Day Regina experience was back. I think there was probably twice as many Bomber fans this past weekend as there were a year ago. And that was more than the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic. It was awesome. I mean, we got to downtown, we checked into the hotel, and you just looked outside on the street and you saw 15 Bomber fans in different groups walking around. So it was phenomenal. I mean, the Bombers do a great job, and I got to give Wade Miller credit. People ask, how the Bombers develop this passionate fan base so well? A lot of it goes to the job that the team has done. And, Wade is a former player, I think gets the fans more than a lot of maybe executives do that are a little more detached. And they came down that Crave bar, which is right downtown close to our hotel. They take it over on the Saturday night. They invite every Bomber fan that's come out, and they said, we're buying a beer for every one of you. You get there. They had the cheerleaders there. They gave a ticket out to every single Bomber fan that went through. And guys, it was the most packed place that I've been in a long time. Absolute sardines on the patio, in the 2 main rooms. I mean, you couldn't really stay that long just because you couldn't move, but it was amazing to get everyone together. And that's the sort of thing that I think gets people to realize they're really appreciated by the organization, as well as, really throw their support behind the team. So they did a great job. That was a lot of fun to start things off. And then I want to shout out the Rider fans. Because, listen, we have a lot of fun with this rivalry and there's cracks back and forth, but it really is good-natured, a lot of fun. And they were so welcoming. And a lot of them came up and said, I want to thank you guys for coming because you guys make this weekend what it is. And, it was appreciated. We had a great time partying with them beforehand and afterwards and, taking our lumps after the game. But that is what this rivalry is all about. And the fact of the matter is, as much as we give shots Manitoba Sask, I mean, listen, we're all prairie people right here. There's not a lot different between the two provinces when we all really want to admit it. So it's the best party of the year in the regular season, bringing everyone together. And now with what's happened with the Banjo Bowl becoming a big thing here, and that's been the one game that's always been sold out. Well, now every game is sold out. And I'm hoping we see a lot of people in green coming in. I just saw one of the Rider supporter podcasts is doing a bus, and they're on the road right now, coming out here right now. So certainly encourage people. It's a little easier for us to do it with the long weekend and having that day to come back, but that's why they moved this game to Saturday. So Rider fans could come out and then have the Sunday to get back in time to work. So I will say getting tickets now is a little harder than it maybe has been in the past. But it's a heck of a good time. And I know there's a lot planned in the city tonight with the Banjo Bowl party beforehand and that goes into it. So we're hoping that the Banjo Bowl as a weekend can get to where Labor Day is right now. But as far as the games, bottom line, it's the best thing the CFL has going. There's going to be a lot of asses in seats in both of these stadiums through 2 days and 2 great football teams going at it on the field.
Your thoughts as we get into this game with the loss here last weekend, what does it look like for the Bombers? What are they going to do differently to make sure that they come out on top when they had trouble running the ball, weren't able to do that? The Rider defense, 5 sacks. What does Winnipeg regroup and look at?
Well, I mean, listen, a little bit more success on the line of scrimmage, I think, is the easy answer. I mean, it is outrageous that the Bombers that Brady Oliveira rushed 5 times. I know he had a 14-yarder that was moved back on a penalty, but for them to start that way and then have Oliveira only touch the ball 10 times, and a few of them were just sort of desperation dump-offs in the passing game, that's not Blue Bomber football. And listen, the Riders, this was the number 1 and 2 rush defenses in the league going into that game. Listen, it wasn't like the Riders were running all over the Bombers in the first half, but they stuck with it, and they kept on breaking down the Bomber defensive line by having a commitment to running A.J. Ouellette. And the Bombers got away from that. Now, listen, I'm going to be talking out of 2 sides of my mouth here, because at the same time, the Bomber passing offense was maybe as dynamic as it's been all season long. I mean, everybody stepped up. I mean, Clearshey has had a huge catch. I mean, Wheatfall, hell, if Zach hits him on the run on that one play in the first half, that's another touchdown, about 80 yards. Came up a little short. But overall, they started clicking a lot more. So there is something to be said to that. But listen, Brady Oliveira needs to be part of this game. Like, defensively, I'm not sure how much better the Bombers can be against that Rider offense. I mean, Trevor Harris passed for 1 touchdown and 219 yards. I mean, you guys have the numbers. That's probably his quietest game passing all season long, if not very, very close to it. And again, they stuck with Ouellette and they wore them down, and then they brought in Williams for a couple carries, and boom, he's in the end zone. So I think they were more committed to their game plan when it came to running the football. I think the Bombers got away from it, and then, when things weren't going well in the second half, they weren't able to kind of stay on the field and move the ball, and Saskatchewan really sort of took over. I mean, I joked afterwards that the Bombers, I mean, as crazy as the ending was, the Bombers getting to within 2-point convert of winning it. And thankfully, for those of us that bet on the 4.5-point spread, the Bombers actually covered the spread, which they, at one point, they had no business doing. The crazy thing is that, if Jason Hogan maybe cooks up a bit better of a play call, we could have been talking about overtime or a game that the Bombers won. So, I mean, listen, it is a crazy football league, and these games are always nuts. It's funny that the pick 2 that we're looking at right here made it a 4-point game. The game closed at 4, so there was a massive amount of pushes based on this play. But if he'd just gone down, for instance, or if it was incomplete, it would have been a 2-point game. And I believe that would have made it 5 of the last 6 Labor Day Classics that finished with a 2-point differential, which is wild. But I mean, overall, listen, Winnipeg, I think, needs to be a little bit better in a lot of areas, and maybe get a little bit of good fortune, because this SAS team is going to be up for it. They have showed all year long that they are right there at the top of the power poll with, of course, the Calgary Stampeders, who've been the nemesis of both of these teams that are playing tomorrow. And, hopefully they can feed off the crowd. And the crowd's been a big, big part of it. I mean, I've seen Bomber teams that aren't as good as Saskatchewan run away with Banjo Bowls when things start going downhill. And that's what it felt like happened last week at Mosaic. It felt like that game got completely away from the Bombers and was over. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, when the fumble on the punt return and the Bombers all of a sudden had life and got right into it and certainly gave a scare into everyone at the stadium. But they've got their work cut out for them tomorrow against a Rider team that the way they play football, that travels even in an atmosphere like Princess Auto Stadium.
From Winnipeg Sports Talk, Andrew Paterson joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. And Dalton Schoen, it came out today, he's on the 6th game, and then we find out he tore his ACL against Calgary, and he manned up and he played last week. Maybe you guys in the media knew this, but I've always liked the guy. I've always loved how he played, hard-nosed, tough football. You hear this to be like ultimate respect. To go and do that, knowing how big of a game this was. He's on the shelf for what, at least a year, Hustler? Like, Dalton Schoen, just to me, just top-notch caliber guy.
Yeah, I mean, a warrior, man. That's what football is about. Are you hurt? Are you injured? I mean, he was both. Managed to sit out for 6 games and then returned to practice, ran around a bit, and said he was good to go. And like, he wasn't just a decoy or something. He was targeted 7 times. He caught 5 balls, caught a touchdown that potentially was going to tie the game in dramatic fashion. But we saw him limping off after the 2-point convert, and it was pretty clear that something wasn't right. Announced today that he's out for the season for the 2nd straight year, same knee. It's tragic. I mean, for him particularly, and for the league. I mean, you remember he came in as a rookie, he led the league in receiving. I mean, he had like 15 or 16 touchdowns. He was phenomenal. And then the season got cut short very early last year, and then tried to play through it and come back and just wasn't able to. So wishing him nothing but a full recovery, and hopefully he can resume his career and get back here to Winnipeg. But for the Bombers, it's a devastating loss because it was sort of like they chose Schoen over Kenny Lawler. We're getting reminded every single week what we're missing in Kenny Lawler, who's arguably the number 1 receiver in the league and flourishing in Hamilton. And the Bombers are going to hope they'll get a boost from Pokey Wilson, who came back from the NFL. He's going to play this week. Quick turnaround for him. Not quite as quick as Joe last week. I couldn't believe he was in the lineup. I was in the NFL 48 hours before the game, and all of a sudden he's making impact plays. But their offense isn't what it has been before, which is part of the reason why I think they really need to get back to what their bread and butter is, which is Brady Oliveira and that offensive line. But again, easier said than done against a team that can stop the run the way Saskatchewan does.
All right, we got about 30 seconds left, and I follow you on Twitter, and it sounds like you only win when you bet. So I'm just going to go with that. What's the line? What should people be betting tomorrow? And because I am not a gambler, that's Barney's territory. But where are we at? And if we were going to put some action on this,
okay. Well, I'm looking right now, and this has basically been a pick 'em all week. I mean, essentially, even on both sides, whoever you think you're going to win, bet that. The Bombers are now a 1.5 point favorite, and they're a very, very slight favorite. And I think a lot of people are just looking at Banjo Bowl history, and obviously the home crowd advantage, and think that Winnipeg will be able to get it back. I'm going to go with my heart on this one and back the Bombers, but even the biggest Bomber fan, I think, has to agree that on a neutral field, the Bombers this Bomber team are underdogs to Saskatchewan, and they're going to need to be at their best if they want to win. But the one thing I'll say about Winnipeg is they have set the bar so high, and over again, they've come up big in these games. So they get the benefit of the doubt. We'll go with them. But if we woke up on Sunday morning talking about the Riders being 10-2, it would not be a shock. That's why this game is so tight.
Okay, so I'm not going to put every mortgage payment this month on that game.
Do that on the Chiefs tonight.
Oh, the Chiefs. We'll have to come get you back on to talk NFL. And you're probably in the wedding party because you are a huge Chiefs fan, the Taylor news and all that. So Andrew Paterson, Winnipeg Sports Hawks, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Have 2 at the Rum Hut for us because we know the lines are long. Never only get a single, right?
I will be. It's like a nightclub there now. Unbelievable, all the young people. I'm not probably going to be in the wedding party, but funny enough, Zach Caleros probably will be as one of the closest friends of the Kelsey boys. So who knows? Maybe we'll get some. Maybe we'll get a report from QB1 on the festivities. But enjoy Banjo Bowl weekend, and once again, thanks for the great hospitality from all the Rider fans last week. We had a hell of a time, and looking forward to doing it again 51 weeks from now.
All righty, it's Andrew Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk on the Sports Cage. Time to take a break. When we come back, sports ticker time. It is the home opener for the Regina Rams and the U of A Golden Bears. More on that in just a bit. This is the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. It's the Regina Rams home opener tonight. They're taking on the University of Alberta Golden Bears. 7 o'clock kickoff at Leibel Field, and you can hear the game right here on 620 CKRM. We'll have the pregame show starting at 6:45. CFL Week 14 starts tonight. The BC Lions are in Ottawa to take on the Red Blacks. The Red Blacks. The Red Blacks. National Football League. Kansas City Chiefs in LA to take on the Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's a home game for the Chargers. I hate these away games in the NFL. If you're a fan, I'm like, what are you doing? Major League Baseball, first place showdown. Toronto Blue Jays are up 3 games on the New York Yankees. They start a 3-game set in the Bronx. First pitch goes just after 5. Western Hockey League preseason action tonight. Brandon Wheat Kings in town to take on the Pats, 7 o'clock at the Brandt Center. And Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League action. Melville Millionaires in Weyburn to take on the Red Wings. And the Humboldt Broncos are in Warman to play the Wolverines. Coming up in hour 2 of the show, NASCAR report, including a proper NASCAR prayer. We did this a few weeks ago with me and Sharky, did the show together. We've got to do it again. And if you're a nervous Edmonton Oiler fan because of all the McDavid stuff going on, today's comments are not going to make you feel any better. That jersey you paid $255 for may be a collector's item. We'll dive into that next. This is the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. 2,554 days since the last Saskatchewan Roughrider win in Winnipeg. Tomorrow, trying to break that streak. The last time the Riders won in Winnipeg, it was the Chris Jones era of Rider football. Remember that? All that optimism.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, Zach Claros was your starting quarterback. Final score was 32-27 for the Riders. Tomorrow, the CKRM Rider Broadcast Network, brought to you by the Cooperators, has countdown to kick off starting at 11. The Rider pregame show goes at 1. Dave and Luke will have the call. Bombers, Riders at 2. Hour number 2 of the Sports Cage, it's Maz and Sharky, who's at Leibel Field. It is the Regina Rams home opener tonight, taking on the U of A Golden Bears. Mark McConkey is going to join us at about 20-5, head coach of the Rams. Be interesting to see what he thinks of this year's squad after last year's miracle win. Sharky, and I don't know if you saw this last week, but ever since I saw the McDavid sitting with Reinhardt and Crosby at the Olympic evaluation camp in Calgary last week, they did that little press conference, something hasn't been sitting right. And so McDavid was in the middle, Reinhardt's on the left, and Crosby is on the right. Now, they both have what McDavid doesn't. The Stanley Cup rings. But it goes more than that. It's the mindset. They're team guys, and they want to win. Reinhardt plays on a team where guys are sacrificing money in their prime years. If you can say $6 million or $8 million is a sacrifice from $9 million, but you get what I'm saying. They want to be part of a team, and they want to win. And then I look at Crosby on the other side, ultimate team guy, who forever immortalized for the golden goal in 2010. If you think about it, what did he get paid for that? 0. The Olympics, you don't get paid to play in the Olympics. This was about being a team guy. And when has Crosby ever been the highest paid guy in the league? Like almost never. And now he's at the stage of the career. You just see him. He just wants to play. He wants to be part of a winner at this stage of his career. And then Connor comes out with the statement that this is Mitch Marner vibes 2.0. I mean, I'm taking my time, my family, my agent, my DoorDash driver, Sharky's hunting guide. Everybody's going to be consulted before there's any sort of movement. And if I'm an Oiler fan, and I'm not, but I know a bunch of them, they're frustrated. If you want out, just say it. Stop with the lip service. Be a man. Do what you want to do, because you can either win or you can get paid. Because in the new NHL, it shows you can't have both. If you've got the highest paid individual payers, you never end up winning the Stanley Cup, it seems. So why don't you, I was thinking, for one season, what if you took $5 million? So your team could go load up on a bunch of other guys, give you a shot to win. You've had 2 trips to the finals and you got lucky. I think if they go again and they lose, I think a lot of Oiler fans are going to be done with Connor McDavid. Holding the team hostage for $18 million a year is going to choke away all of their flexibility, Sharky, to build a roster. Bet on yourself. Put less money where your mouth is, okay? If you truly want to win in Edmonton.
Has Connor come out and said $18 million? Has he used that number? No, he hasn't. Now, if we're going to compare Florida to Edmonton, we got the tax issue as well. Guys can get paid less, make the same amount of money, right? So there is that tax benefit to Florida. However, not everybody can play in Florida. They can't have all the top guys in the National Hockey League. So take that out of the mix, right? They're going to, every now and then, they're going to sign a dud, right? It's not going to work out for them perfect every time. The other thing is the cap is going to go up and is expected to go up more. So what Connor doesn't want to do, and the whole NHLPA is on his side on this, get as much money as you can. Because if Connor takes less, everybody's judged against that standard. So his agent and his people, we talked to him saying, if you take, and as a number, I'm going to say, if you take 12 as a number, you've effectively said everybody else is worth less, right? So there's different elements in just, and that's why Connor's saying that, there's different elements in just Connor making a decision. What I can see with Connor is a bridge sort of contract, meaning 3 to 4 years. We're going to take a 3 to 4 year deal instead of an 8 to 10, the 8 year or 7 year deal that they're allowed to now, to say, I'm going to get paid this amount for the next 3 years. And let's take a number like 15. I'll take 15 over the next 3, knowing that the cap's going to go up and the team's going to have more flexibility. It's a really hard position to be in when you've got 2 great players and you've been in the Stanley Cup Finals twice and you haven't won, to go, we're going to get rid of one of those, especially when he's potentially the best hockey player on the planet. So Toronto being the other side to look at this, to go, where do we spend our money correctly? At least Edmonton hasn't bought 4 forwards. They've bought 2 forwards, right? They can't have Matthias Ekholm taking tickets as they get breakaways on Stuart Skinner like Brad Marchand did in the playoffs, right? Ekholm literally went, the goalie's that way, go over there, right? So they've got to do a better job of spending some money in some certain spots. Connor's not going to take a huge discount to play in Edmonton, but he might take a little bit of a discount and a shorter term to play in Edmonton. That's my guess.
I'll bring it back to my question. Do you want to win, or do you want to get paid? Let's use Joe Pavelski as an example. Played 1,400 games, never won a Stanley Cup. If you said to Joe, out of all those years you played, what was it, 15, 16? If you could, if it was guaranteed you played for no money one year, let's say league minimum, but you won a Stanley Cup and you would forever have that ring and your name is on there forever. Looking back now that you're out of the league and how it never happened for you, would you take that? Pavelski says yes within 5 seconds of being answered the question. Do you want to win, or do you want to get paid? And now, before we did this, Sharky, I checked his estimated career earnings. This is McDavid so far in hockey. This has nothing to do with personal endorsements, because that's completely bananas as well. He's made anywhere between $92 and $95 million. So when he starts talking about my family and all this, you grew up with a nice life. You will have a nice life going forward. Do you want to win, or do you want to get paid?
Say that. He's got to say that. He's got to say he's consulting with his family, right? Mitch Marner's also consulting with his family because they got to have security outside his house, right? So he's saying, sweetie, do you want to live like this, or do you want to live in a different environment, right? I'm not saying Connor's got security outside of his house. I'm not saying that's the issue. But yeah, he's going to talk to his bride and maybe his parents to say, what do you think? Right? I mean, this is a big decision. His agent's going to be heavily involved. And like I say, I'll guarantee you the PA is expressing him to take the max just because of what it does for the rest of the contract negotiations.
Colson, do we have the comments from earlier today? I'd said, if you're a nervous Oiler fan, when you listen to the next 51 seconds or whatever this turns out to be, you tell me if you feel any better about Connor McDavid's situation in Edmonton.
To picture what the future looks like?
I mean, when you're trying to plan the next 3, 4, 6, 7, 9 years of your life, you don't just come up with, you don't just dream it up in one day. You know, you take your time, talk it over, think about it some more, talk it over again. You know, it's not something that I take lightly. It's not something that my family takes lightly. As I alluded to yesterday, you know, I put everything I have into this, into my career, just like everybody here. You know, you only get one chance to do it and to do it right, and that leads to taking your time with it. Nothing else to really say.
Oh my God. Mitch Marner 2.0 vibes right there. Dude, hey, here's Sharky. He already plays in Edmonton. It's not like he's like, I got bad news. We're leaving the New York Rangers and we're moving to Edmonton because they're going to give me $18 million and the Rangers are only going to give me $9 million. You're already there. Like, what are you talking about? To me, you want money. You don't care about winning. It's about you. It has nothing to do with team. And so if you don't win a Stanley Cup, I'm like, good, because look at the guys on the Florida Panthers. Is Sam Bennett not the most valuable person from the playoffs last year? Far beyond $8 million, and happy to sign up for more because he wants to win because he's a team guy.
Maybe Sam Bennett knew the market wasn't more than $8 million. Do you think the market for Sam Bennett got to 10? I would disagree. I would think Sam Bennett was in the $8 million category, and that's right. That's right where he should be. McDavid's in the 14 plus category.
Sure.
Name me another. I mean, what's Matthews making? 11, 12?
Sure.
Right. Dreisaitl's making 12, 13.
The hard part to comprehend here is if he's going to be paid whatever it is. Let's say he gets $1 million more than Leon. That would be 13 because if Leon gets whatever that is, it doesn't guarantee them anything. Paying him more it just means you have less to use everywhere else. Like a lot of Oiler fans are talking about how between Stuart Skinner and whoever the backup is, they only spend under $3 million on their goaltending. And a lot of fans aren't happy that sort of gets ignored. It seems incredibly low compared to kind of what else is out there. And I wonder if Crosby, or if they would, Kay, could I talk to you? Like, hey, how important is winning? How important, like, what did that do to change you? Now, keep in mind, if McDavid had a cup and he had nothing to worry about because he's got one, this conversation doesn't matter. I don't think everybody is hanging on every word and every press conference. But since he didn't, Sharky, what are the chances you can get to 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row? You've lost the first 2. You can't assume you're going to get there because you've met enough guys in real life that thought this is easy. It's just going to happen every year. I know.
Florida's been to 3.
But the Oilers are not built like Florida.
No, they're built differently, but they're also, in some cases, they're younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Oilers got younger in the offseason by moving Kane and Perry. So they've even made themselves younger yet. They went out and picked up some speed. The Jeff Skinner experiment, which was a colossal disaster, right? He's gone to wherever, San Jose or Anaheim or whatever team decided to take him in his contract. Good luck with you. Man, that guy couldn't find his way out of his own zone to save his life. But I will say this. Edmonton every team's got to spend their money a certain way, right? And they got to spend it where they think they're going to get the most out of it. Florida's found what's working for them. And yeah, maybe Barkov's taken a discount, or maybe his salary is such at the time that he signed that it's a discount for where he'd be at right now. So, and I was trying to look up where all the salaries are and who everybody is in the zoo. Mm-hmm. I mean, Austin Matthews is on the second last year of his deal. He's on a shorter deal. Austin Matthews is running out of deal, right? I think the Leafs overpaid for their former captain. I can't even remember his name. John I don't think they should have kept him. Tavares, I don't think they should have kept him either, right? I think you could have got way more second-line center for that money than you got out of John Tavares. The cap issue with McDavid is complicated because the cap's changing. They don't want to see the best player take less money. I know the NHLPA was not happy when Crosby kept signing for 8.7, right? Just because it's his favorite number. I mean, Crosby's salary's been 8.7 for a long time, and he's happy at that. You talk about Crosby being happy. Do you think he's happy in last place Pittsburgh? Do you think Sidney Crosby's sitting there going, yeah, I love playing here for 8.7? No, he'd rather take that 8.7 in Colorado in a heartbeat. Oh, sure, but they haven't been in the playoffs for 4 years.
But how many cups does he have? 3?
3. Yep.
Okay, so
you never have enough Stanley Cups. You have 10 fingers. You never have enough Stanley Cups.
I know, and Connor doesn't have one yet. So if there's ever a time to be like, you know what? To be like, I'm going to bet on myself. Maybe, like I said, what if he did something crazy? Listen, I'll take less for a year, And then then let's load up. Let's go win this cup. And then I'm going to fleece you for every dollar that I'm worth and then some, or I'm going to take this show on the road and go somewhere else. But to truly mean, so when he talks about, when he, like I said, gets into, he's got to consult the DoorDash driver and your hunting guide and his family and his agent. And he goes, when they start going through the laundry list, Sharky, though, that's the excuse wheel. And you've heard this again and again and again in every sport. And I'm like, just say what you really want to say. Just say
okay.
it.
So let's say Connor says, I want 18. Let's say that's the number. And the Oilers go, we'll sign you, but we got to trade you because we can't, that doesn't give us any room. Where does that put Connor in terms of a place to play that he can win? Because you can't sign Connor for 18 and trade him without taking everybody else's contract back, right? So as an example, Winnipeg can't go, we'll take that. Well, they got to give up Hellebuck or Scheifele, right? They got to send such a big contract
You know the Rangers and the Leafs would do it in a second, and they would ditch guys like Brad Treliving would be throwing jerseys over the glass in a second to get that guy in there.
But if they take McDavid, they got to give up the new guy, Matthew Nyes. He's got to go, and I don't even know that they got much after that. Right? Don't send me Domi. I don't want him. Right? Don't send me Tavares. Right? Already got rid of all my old guys. The only other guy is Matthews, who I think is although he works really hard and he looks really good and he scores lots of goals, I think he's beat up. I think the poor guy is beat up. I think Matthews is more hurt than anybody will ever know. There isn't a lot of places that can take that kind of contract, right? Except maybe San Jose, who traded for Carey Price's contract today, just so that they can get to the floor. Yeah, they took Carey Price's $10 million just to get to the floor.
Yeah. The big NHL news today, the San Jose Sharks picking up the Carey Price paper contract. He's not going there. He's not going to be suiting up. He's not playing a game. This is for them to get to floor. I will agree with you on the Austin Matthews front. Number. I think Austin Matthews is beat up. And Sharky, you and I love Austin Matthews for a couple of reasons. He is really rich and he's really good at hockey, but he has an unfortunate hairline like I think both you and I had. And eventually, Austin, this is your future if you can see it. If you're watching the stream at sportscage.com. All right. Hey, you know what? We did it a few weeks ago and it was hilarious. And if you missed it and you're like, what were they talking about? Sharky did the NASCAR report and I did my part because NASCAR is true blue Americana. There's traditions there that are going to be, no matter how woke or unwoke the world is, ain't going to change. So we're going to come back. We're going to do the NASCAR report, but we're going to start it with the NASCAR prayer. And we'll do that next on the Sports Cage right here on 620 CKRM.
Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen.
Sharky.
That is the best
for the
prayer.
NASCAR.
That is the best. The best prayer. Hard to follow that.
Croft Electric. I know, but now you have to. Fire it up, my friend.
Now I have to. Well, you know what? Last week was the first race of the playoffs. It was in Darlington, South Carolina, and there was a theme. If you're on a Toyota, you own that track. 6 of the top 7 cars were Toyotas, and the only non-Toyota in that group was Chevy's AJ Allmendinger, who finished 5th. Of the 16 drivers in the playoff hunt, none that were in a Ford or a Chevy finished in the top 10. So whatever those guys did to set their cars up for Darlington did not work. They'll be resetting this week. Joe Gibbs Racing, Chase Briscoe won the race, and as a playoff driver, he now guarantees himself a spot in the second round field of 12. I know this may be hard to understand, but they eliminate 4 drivers after the first 3 races of the 16, so 12 go through to the second round. Below the cut line today of the 16 are Josh Berry, who only finished 3 laps before he went into the wall. Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon, and Joey Logano. Logano, last year's champion, is only 3 points back of Shane Van Gisbergen, who is really only a contender on road courses, and there is no road course in the first round of 3 races in the playoffs. This week, we go to the Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Enjoy Illinois 300, but it's in St. Louis, Missouri. I don't get it either. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they did. 1.25 mile track should provide the spark for Chevy and Ford to reset and get back in the mix. So as the pastor said, boogity, 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 let's go racing Sunday at 1. Love that.
Yeah.
prayer.
So now that NASCAR's into the playoffs, so for anybody wondering, they start and the group just gets smaller until you get down to the final four. So as everybody, it's just a process. Pretend it's like American Idol. We started with like 28, and we're just going to whittle away every week. Simon Cowell and the checkered flag eventually eliminate drivers, and then you just get turfed from there.
That's kind of what happens. But as a non-playoff driver, you can still win the race, win the money, and win the trophies for each race. So it's still a challenge for all 36 cars on the track.
Oh, it's funny. I was going to ask you, because anytime that you, me and Barney have been on the show together, whenever we've talked hunting or fishing, and we have nothing to add to the conversation, the look on your face of just, is it disappointment, or I don't know what it is, to be like, how can you two be so just not part of how life in Saskatchewan works?
No, not disappointed. No, not even surprised. No, it's not for everybody. Earlier in the week, you did talk about me having a barbecue out here for the Rams pregame, maybe bringing some of the wild game. But recently, I was just away in BC fishing, caught 14 different species over the 2 days. So there could have been some salmon, some tuna, some cod, some sole, some halibut. Like, it would have been quite a feast of seafood. Too bad we weren't playing, somebody that was named after a fish in this game. But it could have been quite a feast of seafood if we'd put that together. Yes.
Well, since
the barbecue would have been good.
And I do follow a lot of NASCAR stuff, so my algorithm is full of all sorts of stuff. Patriotic, red, white, and blue, like you name it. So, and we've seen this over the past 36 hours. There was the press conference in Ontario a few days ago where some police chief somewhere said, hey, if someone's breaking into your house, just go hide in a room, let them do whatever. And it didn't take long before everybody in America jumped on that, and they're cutting these reels together of that guy saying that paired up with an American sheriff, lots of guys in Florida saying, my favorite guy is Grady Polk, in Florida, where he's talking about, if you break in, you can shoot him and we'll come and we'll pick him up. And we've got free gun training classes if you want to learn how to shoot better. And I'm like, Sharky, when you see stuff like that, when they're saying, hey, if someone's breaking into the house, no biggie, just go hide in a room, don't bother. Where's the world at these days? Because I don't have an answer. You're older than me. Maybe you have a clearer picture of the big things happening in this country.
Some would say I have a clearer picture. Some would say I'm absolutely crazy. We don't have a gun mentality in Canada. We don't have a gun by the bed on the nightstand in Canada. So it's difficult to defend yourself if somebody's coming through. It's just and lots of people don't know how to defend themselves, right? If somebody breaks into their house, odds are they probably have no idea what to do, which is why they're telling them don't put themselves in harm's way.
Okay.
But, one of these guys is going to break into the wrong house and he's never going to be seen again. He's going to disappear. Yeah. They're going to redneck his backside and he will be gone forever. So it'll even out. Somebody will get their due and they'll be gone. Yeah. They'll be gone.
Well,
but that's good
night,
advice. That's good advice if you have no experience here.
That was all I was seeing in my algorithm until last night, till the Spit game, and then the Hawk-Tua girl came back, and now that's all that is. And tonight, if Taylor Swift's at the football game, that's going to wipe out that, and then that's all we're going to see. I think we got time. We're going to do Colson, fire it up. We're going to do a clutch performer here for Nick's service.
The SportsCage Clutch Performer for Nick's service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
There's all sorts of people in the world that we could give this to, but I want to, I think I got to highlight my children, my kids, the Mazrick kids. Because Sharky, and I don't know if you, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. When we returned from vacation, we found out that the ice maker in the fridge wasn't working. And this has caused huge problems in our household because our kids didn't know how to make ice cubes. Fault of the parents? Yes, sure. But they've had an ice maker all their life. And so now that it was broken and we're going on 5-6 weeks, but I want to say that, listen, we faced adversity. We overcame. They kind of learned how. It took a while. Ice cubes. Ice maker was fixed yesterday. We're back in the just walk up to the fridge, put your cup up there, ice machine is working. I just want to say, kids, you did Dad proud. It was 5 weeks, but you pulled through. Somehow, some way, you're all going to get a new iPad out of this because that's just how it's going to work. But I really appreciate the effort.
Well, I've got a different clutch performer today, and I'm going to hats off to the Regina Pack Canadians who've been selected as the host for the TELUS Regionals this next season. And obviously, with Liam Pugh and Maddox Schultz in the lineup, this is an excellent choice by Hockey Canada because the Pats are probably going to be there. So it puts 2 Saskatchewan teams in the regionals. I think this is a great move, and it's going to be great for Regina, and it's another chance for us to get out and watch 2 great young hockey players as they continue to develop. So hats off to the Patsies.
No, that's fantastic news. All right, we're going to take a break. Sharky is at Leibel Field. It's the home opener tonight. University of Regina Rams taking on the U of A Golden Bears. Kickoff's going to go at 7. The game, we'll have it for you on 620 CKRM starting at 6:45 at the pregame show on Brendan McGuire. Coach Mark McConkey is going to join us, and we'll do that next right here on 620 CKRM. Still to come on the show, Farhan Lalji from TSN will join us, and voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, as well. It's Maz here at Century City Studios, and Sharky set up at Leibel Field tonight. It's the home opener. The University of Regina Rams taking on the U of A Golden Bears, Leibel Field, 7 o'clock kickoff. Joined now by Head Coach Mark McConkey. Coach, thanks for taking the time to do this on a game day. Let's go back to last year, because it kind of turned out to be a bit of a magical season. Maybe overachieving could be a term that was used. When you got the team together in training camp and things got rolling, did you know that there could be something there? We know how it turned out, but did you have that feeling that this is a special group?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, we started 2-0 last year. We took down the Huskies for the first time in 5 years, and then we hit the slumps and lost 5 straight. But the games we were losing, 4 out of the 5 were within a single major, so like within 7 points. And we were just finding ways to lose those games or not win those games. So I knew we were a good team, and I felt we were underachieving on that 5-game streak. And then it all kind of started here at Leibel Field. We had a big comeback versus U of A, and then we just started playing cleaner football, and we're winning those tight games. And that's kind of exactly what happened on our way to win the Hardy Cup.
And the reason why I asked this is because the reason why I asked is because last week we saw the crazy miracle type finish, and there the Rams are, and they pull out another crazy one out of the fire. So I'm like, is this version 2.0? Are you getting that same feeling again?
Yeah, I mean, we lost some key pieces for sure. We had 3 or 4 Canada West All-Stars. We lost 3 of them, 2 to the CFL. Brandon Wong's back, so we're glad to have him back. But I think we're a good team. I don't think we're as put together as we were last year defensively. Just when you lose All-Stars, that's always hard to replace those guys. So we're a little young in those spots. But offensively, we've really grown a lot. We got a lot of guys back, so we've really matured, and we know how to win games and score points when we need to. And so it's just might look a little different this year, but yeah, I've got the same feeling.
Coach, in the preseason, you were ranked, I believe, 3rd.
Yeah.
That poll is really worthless because you could throw the dice and 1 through 6 could come up in a different direction, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And I was hoping we'd finish last, but I knew that wasn't going to happen, just like last year. But yeah, like last year we sneak into playoffs, we win the West, and I had other coaches be like, I knew you guys would be scary in playoffs, and that's just Canada West. Calgary could have snuck in. They could have won it last year. You just got to get hot at the right time and play your best football at the end of the year. Do enough to get into playoffs and then get hot, and that's kind of our plan this year is to continue to get better. Big
win over Calgary. I like to go good, bad, and most unique. Good, obviously Erickson scoring 4 touchdowns, pretty unique situation. But what else was good about that football game? What else do you take out of that goal? We were really happy with that.
Yeah, I think offensively we moved the ball really well. We had a plan. We had to adjust the plan based on their coverages and some of the things they were doing a little different. But Noah Pelche looked great. I know Marshall got all the glory and the media, which was great, but Noah Pelche played a clean game. And it starts up front with our O-line. He never got hit once, never got sacked once. He had a clean pocket. He was seeing the field well, and that's what you expect from your fourth-year quarterback. So he did a really nice job, but it might not have been noted compared to Ericsson's 4 touchdowns. But Noah played a great game, and obviously the big guys up front led the way.
What do you want to fix as you line up for the Golden Bears tonight?
Yeah, I think when you have a 16-point lead, I mean, all last year we were always behind in games, so we never had to actually play when we were ahead. And so we didn't even really talk about putting teams away. We just talked about just executing when it mattered. And it doesn't matter what the score is, just continue to execute on both sides of the ball. And I think we just didn't do a good job executing on offense at the end of the game, and obviously on defense at the end of the game, and special teams at the end of the game. So all three we can look to improve on and just execute in the fourth quarter.
And finally, the final question for me is, what was the most unique thing that happened in that game that you surprised you or you didn't see coming?
Well, I mean, they tied the game on a rouge. That was pretty. I've been coaching 10 years. I've never seen that before. And it was a unique situation and something that we just weren't ready for. And ultimately, that falls on me. But it's been addressed. We're ready for it now. And it's funny. We in training camp, I think we do a pretty good job. Yeah, there it is right there. Thanks for bringing that up again. And we do a good job. We do a situation of the day. So we do like a block field goal. The team storms the field. They get another chance at it because there's too many men on the field. And we go over every weird situation. This wasn't one on the agenda, so I already added it to next year's PowerPoint for training camp just to make sure we're ready for everything.
Fantastic.
Now, you'd mentioned that you'd lost a lot of players and all-stars, and you got to replace them with new bodies, and guys are moving up. But there's some first-year players on this team. They're not new to football. They're just new to Ram football. What are one of the two core kind of pieces that the new players pick up or adopt as far as, okay, this is how the Rams do things here. Forget where I came from, but this is how Rams football is done in 2025.
Yeah, that's a great question. At the end of the day, where we talk about it day one in training camp is it's all about the team, right? Everything we do is for the horns. And this is mostly for offensive guys like receivers and running backs. Like Ericsson would tell you, he doesn't care how many touchdowns he gets. He doesn't care how many touches or yards. Like if we win, it's all about winning. And sometimes we might have to ask you to play a different role. You might be more of a special teamer. You might be more of a fullback or kind of a decoy. And we got lots of receivers that are getting doubled and they're decoy guys. But at the end of the day, everything's for the team, right? It's always about team above self. And that's something that all the new guys have learned quickly in training camp. And we always make every decision I make and that we make as a coaching staff is for what's for the betterment of the team and what's going to help the team be the most successful. So that'd probably be our biggest overarching thing that new guys coming in would learn about in camp.
Question on U of A. They're coming in here. I mean, they had a great offensive game against U of S. Didn't get the W, but they're second to you in total yardage already after week one. What kind of challenge do they present tonight, or how do you prepare for them?
Yeah, they're a good team and they're well coached. I know they got a new head coach, but he was the OC at UBC and they put up big yards for the last couple of years. So he's a bright mind and they got some weapons. Their quarterback, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And Eli, they got some weapons at receiver. I know they got a young running back who we recruited but didn't get. They're a good team. And they're gonna have some big plays for sure. And it's, can we limit those big plays, and then can we also have some big plays offensively? So it's gonna be another tight game. There's no blowouts in Can West, so we're excited for another battle.
No, there's no free spot on the bingo card in this schedule, is there? No,
not in this conference.
No, not at all. No.
Last one from me, and it's a long way down the road because it's only September the 5th, but the Vanier Cup will be played at Mosaic Stadium. So I think for anybody in Can West especially, I'm like, okay, that's the backyard. But for the Regina Rams, that's an incredibly close backyard. Is that even a topic of conversation? I mean, guys obviously know about it, and it's very tempting, but there's no guarantee just because it's in your hometown that you get there. How do you handle a situation like that?
Yeah, we were chatting pre-show here about it, and to be honest, like in the off season, for sure it's there, right? Because all you hear about and all their players are scrolling on social media and listening to everyone about talking about the Vanier here. But once we started training camp, we addressed it first meeting, and then that's it. Like we haven't really talked about it. No one's mentioned it. We're just one foot in front of the other. We got a lot of football ahead of ourselves here. And like you said, there's no guarantee in all the other university sports like basketball. If you host, you get an automatic bid. So you can be 0-28 in basketball and get in the championship. So it really doesn't matter where it is. We still have to earn our way there. And we're excited about the opportunity to potentially play in that game. But like I said, we got a lot of work to do, a lot of steps. Like I said, we're at the bottom of the mountain right now. We've taken one step, beating Calgary, and now we got to keep going and keep our head down and try to limit out the noise.
All right.
Love it. I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry, cut you off.
We'll have the game tonight. Pre-game show starts at 6:45 with Brendan McGuire. We'll have the kickoff at 7 right here on 620 CKRM. The Regina Rams home opener at Leibel Field, taking on the U of A Golden Bears. Time for another break. This is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. The Toronto Blue Jays start a 3-game weekend series with the New York Yankees, and they lead the Yanks by 3 games. First pitch is going to go at around 5:07. Lots of football action this weekend. Tonight, the U of R Rams taking on the U of A Golden Bears, 7 o'clock at Leibel Field. You can catch the game right here on 620 CKRM, starting with the pregame show at 6:45. CFL Week 14 kicks off tonight. Lions at Red Blacks, and there's NFL action tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the LA Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Kickoff there goes just after 6 o'clock. It's Maz in for Barney today. Sharky is live at Leibel Field as we get ready for a little bit of football. I don't know what your take is on Luke Wilson from TSN. It's all over the place. Yesterday he did an interview, and here, listen to this, because I kind of agree with him. Colson, roll this. This is what Luke goes through being kind of the guy behind the CFL, making waves on social media.
How has your experience been?
It's been really tough. It's been really tough.
Why? What's going on?
I'll tell you, Noodles, what gets strange with the CFL for me is that there's people in the CFL that want to be promoted, but they really want cheerleaders. And I don't think I'm a cheerleader. Yeah, but so we're not allowed to...
Missed assignment.
Correct. If we were to talk about that coaching decision or that defensive structure, I would be tarred and feathered because it'd be bad. It's, you can't say that about the coaches. You can't go after the players. And I'm not trying to go after them, just being like, how does that happen? How does that happen? Yeah. But on the flip side, it's like, hey, man, this is a great convo. Let's talk about this. It's like, yeah, it's good for the league. And I can't be muzzled. You can't have it both ways.
Fair enough.
And now all of a sudden everyone wants to paint me as the bad guy. And I'm like, it's ridiculous. I think we should cover the league like it's professional. If you want to be a pro league, are you guys easy on the Leafs?
No, I wouldn't say we are.
You're fair on them.
I think we're fair.
You're fair on them.
I think
if they're great,
fair.
we pump their tires, and if they stink the joint out, we have
Which is not how the CFL is covered. I'm just telling you right now, and that's why it's been a struggle for me. Partly, and it drives me insane because the guys who get hurt are the players, specifically the Canadian guys, who have come up to me numerous times thanking me on the sideline. Hey, I appreciate what you're trying to do for the league. But that's not how that league is covered. So I get worried. Like, if you guys talk about the CFL the way you talk about other sports, I'm telling you, there'll be people, there'll be powers that be. I got to watch my language. And you'll be getting phone calls.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah, you'll be getting phone calls.
Your phone battery must be on low.
God, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Sharky, does he have a point that he's not allowed to call a spade a spade?
Now, Wilson's comments in that other game were more about the way the game is played compared to the NFL. They're two different games. Like, he was talking about the clock running and how they manage the clock and everything else, but it's two different games. It's two different scenarios. So that criticism, I would say, was unwarranted because not that he's uneducated, but because he's comparing apples to oranges. I don't have a problem, and I don't think anybody has a problem in this league calling out a player or somebody else, right? I've said for a long time, Cody Fajardo should have been the starter in Edmonton. I didn't like Ford. I didn't think Ford was an actual CFL quarterback. He's a runaround guy, and he can create some havoc. But in terms of playing within the system, you lose him half the time because he just takes off, right?
I know. But the cheerleaders, and we had a lot of them on the air. That wasn't the narrative. No, Trey Ford's Canadian. He's going to be a quarterback. Everybody's going to be on side. And you knew it. I knew it. Chris Jones knew it. But everybody hates Chris Jones. He knows more about football, that he couldn't be a starting quarterback, and that Cody was a better option. Whether you like Cody or not, Cody was the better option.
That's right. Exactly. So I don't have a problem with the criticism if it is within the CFL game. Don't compare it to something that isn't there.
No.
I mean, you could talk about maybe Montreal's trying to find a quarterback at Foot Locker right now because they got everybody on the injured list. I mean, they're taking anybody off the street that can throw the ball. So maybe you can go Montreal's an example of where the CFL needs to do a different job of handling their rosters and their depth chart. You could say that, but there's a quarterback shortage worldwide. If there wasn't, Aaron Rodgers would not be a starting quarterback somewhere, right? Like it just so.
Hey,
I know. But so
let's not tread on Aaron Rodgers. All right, well, let's continue this after 5 o'clock. We got a break for news. We come back.
Okay.
Farhan Lalji is going to join us, and we're going to get Voice of the Riders Dave Thomas to join us in the final hour from Winnipeg. This is the Sports Cage. Still another hour left. Lots of football to come. What do you think? Prairie Land Rentals text line 306-936-6262. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the final hour of the Sports Cage on this Friday afternoon as we get ready for a big weekend of football, which will start tonight in a couple hours' time at Leibel Field. The U of R Rams taking on the U of A Golden Bears. We'll actually have the game right here on 620 CKRM. Brendan McGuire, pregame show, 6:45. Play-by-play goes at 7. That's the home opener. One game in the CFL tonight. BC is at Ottawa. We're going to get rolling there in about 25 minutes' time. And then tomorrow, it's a big triple header in the CFL. Hamilton at Montreal. Montreal getting 4 studs back in the lineup. That game kicks off at 11. Saskatchewan at Winnipeg at 2. Calgary at Edmonton at 5. Farhan Lalji from TSN is coming up. Also, Voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas. We're going to get into all of that. Sharky is with us. And as always, whenever Sharky's part of the program, that's for Flooring Superstore. And don't forget, when the Riders play, get the KFC Game Day Special, the Big Crunch for just $4.95, and the Big Crunch Combo, $7.95 at participating KFC locations. Sharky, tonight, BC and Ottawa. Now, they play back-to-back. If BC can go on a bit of a run, win this week and then next week, BC is the best team in the red zone as far as touchdown completion percentage. They're getting it together. It's their defense that's their Achilles heel so far this year. The defense has blown it for them because the offense looks good.
The offense has played well for BC, and they have put up some points. And you're right, the defense has given them trouble. But going into Ottawa, which quarterback do you prepare for? I mean, they've been back and forth between the two, between Brown and Crum, and literally Ottawa's got mileage out of both of them. I thought they've both played well for them. So a defense that's struggling to go against an unknown quarterback or a quarterback that you maybe are not as prepared for is a little bit different. The other thing this can do, BC sweeps this, it can literally put Ottawa right out of the playoff race, right? BC can make sure that they're covered on that crossover bid to go east. So there's more incentive here than just who's got the best defense. There's a chance to solidify some playoff positions as we move into the second half of the season.
Now, when the Ticats were 6-2, everybody was believing in the Ticats. And Bo Levi Mitchell, but they've lost 3 straight. They're now 6-5. To me, the Ticats are drifting back into pretender territory. Like, you actually got to beat somebody when it matters. And I know, and then even on the weekend, how they ended up losing that game with 16 seconds. And that's the Luke Wilson clip we were talking about. He was talking about, he had said, Toronto, what are you doing not putting somebody or 2 guys on Kenny Lawler, letting him go into the end zone and catch that touchdown and catching the 2-point convert. We got Farhan now. We'll go to him and we'll get his reaction. Farhan Lalji from TSN joins us.
It's time to get the inside story. TSN's Farhan Lalji on Sports Cage is brought to you by the Cooperators. Time to get financially fit? Cooperators can build a plan that works for you. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
All right, Farhan, let's start last night in Philadelphia. And what's your take on Spitgate as it's now less than 24 hours later? Jalen Carter, Dak Prescott, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there is. And, when we first saw the incident, we didn't necessarily see what happened to precede it, right? In terms of Dak Prescott spitting in the general direction of Carter, and then Carter thinking it was coming at him. And look, Dak Prescott's not that kind of player. When he says that I was not spitting at Carter, I absolutely believe him. Carter clearly was in some form of retaliation, and it's just wrong, right? It's one of the grossest acts. You think of what happens in a football field that leads to a 15-yard penalty. Like, we don't eject for a hit to the head, but we eject for this because we're so personally offended by it. So, I hope it ends here. I hope he doesn't wind up getting suspended, because ultimately he did miss a full game, and that's a pretty severe punishment. But the whole thing is just kind of an unseemly way to start the season, isn't it? I mean, Dak Prescott's a classy player. Jalen Carter had a bit of a history coming into the draft process, which is why he fell to where he did, even though from a pure talent standpoint, he was good enough to go number 1 overall in his draft year. I covered the draft that night. I remember talking to him after he got selected, and, you could tell he was keeping receipts, and then he played nice, behaved himself really well last year, and then now this happens, right? So you rewind to all of those previous narratives when I don't think that's necessarily fair. He was just a young guy who made a poor decision.
A really poor decision, I would say. Yes. And like you say, it's disgusting. It's completely disgusting. But why, without even a snap, like they hadn't even played an offensive play, is Carter going to get involved in that? Like, there's no need for him to be wandering over to Dallas's huddle.
Totally. Yeah. And then so he can sit there and justify his actions, but ultimately, what were you doing there in the first place? You're 100% right. It was early in the game for him to go and try to send a message like that. I mean, his play generally does send the message. He didn't need to go and engage. And then Prescott baited him, right? I mean, he went between his 2 linemen, stepped out in front, knew, you're not going to do anything to me, over the top. I've got 2 linemen right here. And they just kind of tried to, big man each other. But Carter didn't need to go near the Dallas huddle in that moment, and then he compounded it by reacting even worse.
Hey, and once they started playing football, I got to give props. They didn't end up winning, and CeeDee Lamb, but the Dallas Cowboys may not be as bad as everybody thinks this year, because I thought they played the Eagles tough.
They did, right? And listen, don't minimize the impact of the Carter play, because you look in the first half, especially the first 2 drives the Dallas scored on, they went right at the heart of that defense. And Prescott even mentioned it afterwards in his post-game comments, that we basically changed our blocking scheme for Jalen Carter and then changed it once we knew he wasn't going to have to play. They went right at him on that second touchdown drive, an 11-yard run right down the A-gaps, down their throat to the 1-yard line. So, they weren't afraid to go there, which I think they would have been had Jalen Carter been playing. So, so it mattered, right? And Dak Prescott, I thought, played really well. I thought Dallas's defense, which was really, really bad against the run a year ago. I mean, they were bad defense altogether, but especially against the run a year ago. After the 1-hour delay, they really dialed it in. I mean, when you look at Saquon Barkley's stats, he was averaging 5 yards per carry in the first half of the football game. In the second half of the football game, 8 carries for 11 yards. They shut him down. And that's no easy feat, not just because of Barkley, but because that offensive line is by far the best in the NFL. And they stood up for themselves. So, good for Dallas. We'll see if it's a one-off, or we'll see if this is who they're going to be this year, because new defensive coordinator, new pieces on that defense. I want to see a little bit more before I'm ready to anoint them for real.
Let's get to the most important question. The most important question for tonight's game: Kansas City, LA in Brazil. Is Taylor Swift in Sao Paulo? Farhan, what can you tell us? Is she there? Are we going to be cutting away every 39 seconds to another Taylor Swift in a private box shot tonight when we are watching this football game, or trying to watch the football game?
Boy, I sure hope so. I think the folks in Brazil would be pretty enamored if Taylor showed up, especially the newly engaged Taylor Swift with a ring on her finger. I'm sour. I'm not in Brazil. I went to Philadelphia, and then I'm going to Chicago for the game on Monday, and I've not been to Sao Paulo. So I kind of got the short end of the stick, but we didn't send anyone to Brazil.
Okay.
But I do think that we're probably going to, on the surface, I want to say we're going to dial it back a little bit on the Taylor Swift cutaways. But you never know, because this is probably going to be the last time we get it, right? Because I can't imagine that Travis is going to continue to play year after year. So if this is his last year, maybe they got to get their money's worth. And, they're not taking the idea of her playing the halftime show at the Super Bowl off the table yet. So that could happen too.
No, does Justin Herbert have to finally put up and shut up this year? Does Justin Herbert actually have to show this year that he...
Yeah, hey, look, we say this every year, right? Like Justin Herbert is an incredible talent. More passing yards than anybody in the first 5 years of a career. He has got all the talent required to play the game at a high level, but he always leaves you wanting more. And what's the big difference between Justin Herbert and Josh Allen? Like, because when you talk about supporting cast, and that's where I'm going with this, right? Because people always tell me that the Chargers defense isn't good, or he doesn't have enough weapons, and all of which might be true. But same with Josh Allen. And he carries the Bills on his back year after year after year. But Justin Herbert can't do that. So he's a great talent, but in the fourth quarter and the final 5 minutes of a really close football game, he's not the guy I'm putting my money on. In terms of pure talent, he is a top 2, top 3 player in the league, but not many people would have Herbert in your top 5. And I don't think Jim Harbaugh's the guy to, I think we kind of overrate him a little bit. In terms of how he wants to coach the game and whether or not that's going to work at the NFL level. You look at that roster, there's nothing there, right? Like offensively, there's not much there at all. You got Ladd McConkey, and then what? For the third straight year, they've turned over the running back room. They got no receiving weapons. Their defense has holes across the board. This is a team that needs a lot more. They're not for real, in my opinion, in that division. The only team that is outside of Kansas City is the Denver Broncos. I think the Chargers are again going to be on the outside looking in.
I have a question about the Sao Paulo game and this effort by the NFL to take their game worldwide, obviously. Is this good? Is this bad? Is it just marketing? What's the end result? What are they trying to... Well, that's why I'm asking you. Is it good?
Yeah, for sure it is. I mean, look, and especially in a game like this, because there's no time zone issues, right? As opposed to when you go to Europe or wherever else you go to. So, that part of it certainly makes it easy. But yeah, I think the NFL should globalize the game because, in terms of the league, like this is the best run, most profitable league there is in the world, right? Because you look at some of those soccer leagues, and they're so top heavy because of how they're financially structured that it's not necessarily sustainable to run a lot of profits all the way through every team. The NFL is the world's most successful league, and they should take it everywhere. And even if countries aren't going to play it, they should take it everywhere and try to sell jerseys and try to increase viewership and make it as big as it can be, make it as profitable as it can be. That's kind of the next frontier. It's like Europe wants to come to North America for soccer. There's no reason why the NFL shouldn't want to go for football around the world as well. And just again, and the Olympics will be part of that, and it's a positive for sure.
Love it.
All right, so week 14 in the CFL kicks off tonight. The BC Lions are in your backyard. Ottawa tonight in Ottawa, then BC next week. Are these two must-win games for the Lions to keep themselves in playoff contention, potentially West, but for sure wild card? Do they have to go 2-0 against the Red Blacks?
Well, yeah, you do. And you have to go 2-0 because it's the Red Blacks. You can't justify losing a game to the Red Blacks. And really, if you're the Red Blacks, you probably feel the same way about BC, given how bad their defense was against Toronto, right? Like, I mean, you're 4 points back of BC for the 6th spot in the league because right now, if the season were to end, the Lions would have a crossover. So they're probably going to be desperate. They don't have Drew Brown again for this game, but the Lions, they've been sitting on that Toronto loss. They've got to come out with an exceptional performance, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Nathan Rourke's going to be him. He's going to play the game at a high level. The offense is going to put up at least 30 points. So the defense has to do its part because, Crum hasn't proven to be a great quarterback, but he is capable. And if the Lions play as poorly defensively as they did against the Argos, anybody can beat them. So, they've got to win these two games. They've got to keep pace. They're in a favorable part of the schedule because after this, they've got 2 games in 3 weeks against the Stampeders, who they haven't played this year and who are the clear best team in the league. And then in between that, they play the Argos, who just lit them up and probably have Chad Kelly back in a couple of weeks. So they have to get these 2 Ottawa games, given what's coming after that on their schedule.
The Riders would have something to say about that best team in the league thing, but we'll
they
get
should,
to that
because they lost twice to Calgary convincingly.
They haven't beat them yet. They haven't
Saskatchewan both times, so there's no more debate. There's no more argument. Calgary's better. End of it. You want to change that narrative, you do it in the playoffs. Until then, Calgary is better.
You got to beat them.
You got to beat them.
You got to beat them.
Is it okay that we're losing faith in Hamilton when they were 6-2? Hamilton and the props and the bouquets and the Bo Levi, they're 6-5, and I'm starting. You make me a believer because right now you're a pretender. How they lost that game against Toronto, It happens. It's the CFL, and we get that. But Hamilton, sooner or later, has got to prove that they are a good team, don't they? If people take them seriously.
Look, they did earlier in the season, and they had some quality wins, but I think their defense is starting to really slide. Their offense is still able to perform at a high level, even when Kenny Lawler gets shut down like he has been for the last month. I mean, they still are able to generate a lot of points, but their defense has been giving up far too much, in my estimation. They have taken a step back. You look at Calgary, that defense is only getting better week by week, right?
Better.
And
I know.
Saskatchewan's is good, except for when they play Calgary, right? But Hamilton's is taking a step back. You're right, but I still think that they're playing well enough on offense that they're going to be in every game, and I do think they're going to win their share down the stretch.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you that Hamilton's still probably the team to beat in the East, but you got to think Toronto went and gave themselves a big pat on the back. They won't be in 2 more weeks
once Davis Alexander gets back in the lineup, right? Because that's the only thing. I mean, and you look at what Montreal is going to get back this week, right? They're going to get Mac back. They're going to get Philpott back. Mustafa Johnson on the D-line for the first time in a year. Marc-Antoine Dequoy, Sean Thomas Erlington. Like, they're getting so many pieces back except the one that matters. When he gets back, Montreal will be as good as anybody that quickly.
Nice. So last week, the Riders hold Brady Oliveira to 25 yards. That's kind of crazy. That's not a normal Brady Oliveira number. But yet, they only lose 34-30. A lot of Rider fans were expecting a big win, like a big blowout. I thought the game would be close. I would think that tomorrow there may be a little more Brady Oliveira in the mix. Hell or high water, if you're the Bombers and Jason Hogan, and to get that going. What did you make of that game last week, outside of the finish and all of that? Because a lot of people in Rider Nation didn't think that the Bombers and their drop-off this year could hang with the Riders. And I'm like, no, they can hang with the Riders.
Yeah, look, they just do enough. And to be honest, this is the thing with the Riders. Everybody talks about their defense against the run. Their defense against the run has never done anything because people don't run on them. And they don't try, because in some cases they're playing from ahead. But in this case, Jason Hogan ran Brady Oliveira 5 times in that game. That's a fireable offense. You can't do that, especially the way he'd played in the previous 2 games. So I'm not giving Sask any credit for stopping him.
Whoa.
That's all on Winnipeg for getting away from him for absolutely no reason. It made no sense at all. So, yeah, you're going to see a heavy diet, because I would imagine Mike O'Shea's gotten into Jason Hogan's office and says, fix this, kid.
You got to think
fireable fences on a Friday. I love it.
Yeah, so do I.
I watched that game last week. Like you had said, that Calgary defense is only getting better. And poor Cody Fajardo, spinorama left, spinorama right. There was nothing. There was no room. It was only 28-7, but it was a smothering 28-7 where that Edmonton offense couldn't do a thing because Calgary was just so dialed in.
Yeah, they were, and we'll see what happens this week, because Jalen Hutchings is dealing with a groin injury and he may not play. He's listed as a game-time decision. And even if he is going to play, he's probably going to be slowed down a little bit. But the one thing with them, as good as he is, they've had 7 guys that have been able to make noise at various times this season. So I think they've got some depth, but he is a difference maker. The difference for me is VA was off. Calgary was off. That was as poor a game as they've played offensively since the monsoon game in week 2 at home against Ottawa. That's not happening again. And I'm not giving Edmonton a lot of credit for Vernon Adams' performance. I think the offense, there was plays there to be had, and I think Calgary's going to be better offensively. So even if their defense gives up 7 more, I think the offense is going to score 14 more.
All right. Farhan,
yeah, it's interesting always, you say that. Yep. No, go ahead, Mads. You finish her up.
No, I just want to just say, so what's, and I think he's gone. Farhan Lalji from the crowd. There he is. I just want to say, have a great night. If you're watching football tonight, if you're double screening it, whatever happened to picture-in-picture? I love that.
Hey, my son has got a high school football game. It's his first game as a varsity starter, and that's where I will be.
Oh, nice.
Have a great night.
Are you quiet, Dad? Are you quiet, Dad, in the stands, just taking it all in, or is it a vocal?
No, I don't sit. I don't sit. I think the game too much like a coach. I think too much like a coach, and I can't function in the stands. I watch the game from the track. I walk around. I pace. In my mind, I'm calling plays. I can't watch. If I watch, I got to sit with my wife. She has the dumbest questions. She's not going to see the show, so I can't handle that. So I can't sit with my wife. I can't sit with family. It's just not going to work for me.
Can I just say that we wrap this interview on a fireable offense in marriage when we bring up the way? Listen, hey, hopefully she doesn't watch, but if she does, go to our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Hit the subscribe button. We could always use more subscribers. There you go. Right? Farhan, have a great night. Go be a football dad. We'll catch up with you next week. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, Voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, is going to join us. And for Sharky, I don't know if they don't have internet in Manitoba, but it's apparently not working. So I think we're going to chat with Dave on the phone. Maybe it'll be a telegraph. Maybe, SOS or something like that. Morse code.
Is it an MTS? Is it an MTS payphone at the end of the hall? Is that what he's on? Is he dialed on?
I have no idea. They can sell out football games on weeknights when Ottawa comes to town, but they can't get internet that works. So we'll do that next. Voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, in minutes, right here on the home of Rider Nation, 620 CKRM. Couple of shout-outs for some volunteers making it happen this weekend. The Wood Mountain Junior High and High School Rodeo is tomorrow and Sunday at Wood Mountain Regional Park. And Sharky, Sunday, I'll see you there because you and I are registered for the Queen City Marathon, which starts at the Connexus Arts Center. The race site opens at 6:30 on Sunday morning, and the marathon starts at 8.
If the marathon is from my couch to the fridge, I'm in. But if it's any further than that, I'm out.
Let's bring in voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, on the Western Pizza guest hotline. So we're 0 for 2 as far as marathon runners go. Dave, are you going to go 0 for 3? Have you ever run a marathon before in your life? Because my wife has run 3. She's the athlete in the family, not me.
That's not a surprise, but I guess
hey, come on. Hey.
No, I've never run a marathon. I've never wanted to run a marathon. I lived in Saskatoon for a lot of years, and I remember our neighbor used to go down for runs along the river on weekends, and I'm like, you ran how far? And really? Who was chasing you? So that's my experience in running.
All right. But hi to everybody that's getting ready for the marathon this week. And we fully support you from afar. I am 100%. I've been the guy at the finish line. And if you ever have been to a marathon finish line before, they have great food. They have a selection of anything and everything pretty much because you've just run 26.2 miles. You need to replenish the body. Just drift in there like you own it and then go from there. Hey, how's Winnipeg? No internet there? Is that why we're on the phone? Sharky wants to know, are you on a payphone in a hotel hallway?
No, I'm not. I'm just having a couple of issues with the Windows update, but we'll be fine. But it's breezy, it's sunny, it's feeling like fall here in Winnipeg.
Super Dave, quick question for you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Church.
Super Dave, when you and I were back on the in studio a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the defense and being bullies and playing like we're going to knock some people around. I thought they did that against Winnipeg, especially with 5 quarterback sacks. The defense has to be really happy with what they did against the Bombers in the last game.
Absolutely. And the key is that they did it on first down. If you go and dive into the numbers, again, Luke Mullender talks a lot about first down defense, right? Make the defense have to play second and long, not second and medium. And you think that goes without saying, but you look at it with the Saskatchewan Roughriders last week, and there were 21 total times where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers faced the second down in that ball game, and 14 of those 21 times were 7+ yards. And a lot of that was just because the defensive line was able to bully their way past the Winnipeg offensive line, so much so that Winnipeg had to abandon their rushing game 5 runs in for Brady Oliveira, the reigning MOP. So Winnipeg had to make an adjustment and start throwing the ball to him, which took them off their run game. And like you said, I'm with you, Sharky. The defensive line came out, bullied their way against the offensive line for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, where we're going to see a couple of changes, as a matter of fact, for the Blue Bombers this week. So that was where they went ahead and they exuded their will, if you will, and made a huge difference in the Labor Day Classic.
Depth charts came out. Mitch Picton is in. Jackson Ford, the starting safety from last week, is out. Did we miss something there, or what's with him hitting the one-game injured list?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise as he showed up on the injured list with a bit of a knee tweak. So for the third week in a row, really, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will have a different starting safety as Jackson Ford is going to roll into that spot. I guess you could say 3 out of 4 as Jackson did get the start last minute in Calgary. But I know it's a tough one for him because the young man has just battled through all kinds of injuries the last 2 years, and he was getting his opportunity to start with Nelson Lacombo still in that walking boot. But unfortunately, he was ruled out. He didn't make the trip even to Winnipeg. So Kosi Onyeka, 4-year pro out of Guelph, is going to get the start at safety, and it's going to be an interesting one, right? You've been in the league for 4 years, and you get your opportunity to make a start. We'll see what he's able to do with it.
Dave, this is more of a statistical question, and I don't know if you can answer it. The Onyeka family has multiple members in the CFL. Is it 3, 4? Is there 5 of them? Because that's got to be one of the most prolific families in the past decade that putting players into this league.
Last count, it was at 4. And don't ask me to name names alphabetically or anything, but 4 Onyekas at one point in the Canadian Football League.
Question for you, roster-wise, Dave. Are the Riders expecting any other changes beyond Jackson Ford?
No, Jackson Ford is the primary one on defense. Offensively, I would expect that we'll see Joe a little bit more active. He's listed ahead of Del Duncan Busby this time around. So the starting receiving core will be Robustelli, Keyshawn Johnson, and Dante Myers, along with Tommy Niels, who will draw in. Joe is going to get some more reps. And I think that you like that look right now if you're the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I don't
what
think
an
any
ad.
Rider
What an
fan.
ad.
Yeah. And I don't think any Rider fan would have thought going into the game, hey, are you willing to bet on DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, the Riders are going to hold Brady Oliveira to under 25 yards? Well, I don't know if that could happen 2 weeks in a row. If it does, that's awesome. Do you think, Dave, if they can't get the run game going early, that because they're going to force him into the offense, they're going to go to the screen game and the short pass just to get him involved more in the offense with the home crowd?
I think that's what they did last week, was right. They tried to swing him out. They tried to do a pitch play at one point to try to get him outside the tackle and see if he couldn't move there. But if I was to analyze it, I would suggest that I think Winnipeg is going to enter this game talking about making sure that they are more patient offensively, because they really moved away from the run game really, really quick. Like I say, 5 carries for Brady Oliveira. That wasn't on my bingo card at all. So the way that I looked at it, I think that the Bombers are going to approach this week, and especially if they get a lead early like they did last week with the 10 points that they put up early, I can see them being more patient and making sure they get the run game and not deviating to those short passes and the plays that the Riders were just swarming last week.
Dalton Schoen is out of the lineup. He's been put back on the 6th game, and we found out earlier today he played last week on a torn ACL. He tore it in Calgary the week before. That's a big blow to the Bomber offense, and it's the same knee that he already had repaired and coming back. We had Andrew Paterson on in hour number 1, and he talked about it. And the guy is a warrior. That's a big piece of their offense to replace. Ontario Wilson is coming back in the lineup. Now, he just had a look at NFL training camp. He's a totally different body type, but when Wilson was doing good things for the Bombers, what did you like about him, or why was he dangerous for that Bomber offense?
Well, if I go back for 1 second to Dalton Schoen, and the one word that was expressed to me when I asked about him a little bit, and the biggest asset that he had for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense, the one word was trust. Zach Caleros trusted him to run the right route, to make the same read as him, and to be in the same spot as he needed to be. Ontario Wilson, he's got more speed. He's a little more athletic. He's got, you can't coach height. He's got that on Dalton Schoen as well. What does he bring back into the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense immediately? I'm not sure. But just like a Joe, he's going to inject a little bit of positivity and a lot of energy. So it'll be interesting to see what he can contribute tomorrow.
What do you expect from the Rider offense? We talked a little bit about defense and how they were bullies, but what do you expect from the Rider offense after last week where we saw the 1-2 team in the backfield with Ouellette?
Well, I would expect more of the same. And A.J. Ouellette told me this week that what they're doing is rugged running, right? And so he takes great pride in, yes, going ahead and running for 3 yards, but then extending those 3 yards to 5 to 7 to 9. And I would expect that we'll see a lot more of that when it comes to the patience and with making sure that everything rolls through the backfield first, because even though he didn't get 100 yards, he definitely allowed that Rider offense to set up the pass game by him running the football.
Without a doubt.
Trevor Harris,
both running backs came a lot. Yeah.
The Bombers didn't get a ton of pressure on Trevor Harris. Well, when I say that, compared to the Calgary game the week before, it seemed that the Riders were able to correct whatever it was from the Calgary game into the Winnipeg game. You saw Trevor at times get hot. Is he good enough now, Dave, at his age, if the rhythm isn't there early, that he can get rhythm going later, as opposed to some quarterbacks, if they don't have it in the first quarter, they're not going to have it all game? Because the Trevor Harris switch, flip, like we like to think it can, magically when we need him?
Well, and I'm not so sure that it's a switch that flips. It's just, I think Trevor's got the veteran savvy to understand and recognize remarkably quick as to what he's seeing. So if the defense is presenting a different option or something different up front, he's able to make those adjustments in consultation with Mark Mueller, and the two have such a solid relationship that they can then relay and communicate what they've seen or are seeing and make the appropriate adjustments. So even though there's an adjustment made before the game, there's adjustments made in and during the game. The one thing that when it comes to the pressure on the quarterback, I really think that Winnipeg, more than they admitted, misread Cramdy last week, and he comes back into the lineup this week. And no, he's not going to be a pass-rushing threat. I'm well aware of that. But what he does do is he provides some stability on the back end of that defense, a flowing person that can get to the ball and make plays when counted on. So I really think Winnipeg missed that, and maybe they had some guys trying to compensate for that, which affected their pass rush. But Cramdy, like I say, will be back in the lineup here tomorrow, pardon me.
What's the forecast supposed to be tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sunny and warm with very little wind.
Ooh.
Love it. Love it.
Nice. Dave, do you know, in preparing for the show today, it was, now you're a guy that likes to track what he wears at football games. So on September 8th in 2018, I don't know what you were wearing, but it's been 2,554 days since the Riders won in Winnipeg. Tell me you got the killer suit picked out. It's the Streak Buster shoes, socks, pant, belt, shirt, lapel combo. How are we going to break this streak?
Well, I'll be completely honest with you. From year one last year, there were two outfits that were completely undefeated and through the regular season.
Whoa.
The one outfit I wore in the West Final, and we know how that went. So I've been very reluctant.
Burn that.
I've been very reluctant to break out and into the other one on the road, but I can tell you with some certainty that it'll be green tie tomorrow with the white shirt, the black base. So there you have it.
Very classic look. Very classic, Dave. Yeah, I love it.
And then if we win, and then we can call it the Streak Buster. Then we put it on sale. We get a little mini site going, a little Shopify action or whatever, and we can just start banging these things out. So everybody's dressing like that for the next game we play in Winnipeg, and then for the West Final, which is going to be at Mosaic Stadium. Everybody dressing like Dave Thomas. Wheeling in. Forget your jersey that day. Put that jersey away. It's dressed like Dave Thomas Day at Mosaic Stadium. All right. What dinner plans for tonight?
Sorry, I missed that.
Dinner plans for tonight? You doing something exotic in Winnipeg? Where's a hot spot to go if you're in enemy territory but you're starving? What's on the agenda?
Well, I tried to order a Western pizza. That didn't work. So I'll have to get back to you on that.
What's Barney's favorite place for ribs there? Silver Heights? Isn't that Barney's spot that he always talked about to go for ribs? Silver Heights?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Silver
check that
Heights.
out.
Yeah, Barney has a favorite there for ribs, and he talks about it all the time in Winnipeg. So maybe you have to bring a review back and maybe a little more honest than Barney's review.
I can do that for sure, and I'm not afraid to sample, I'll tell you that.
All right, that's voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas. Hey, the 620 CKRM Rider Broadcast Network, brought to you by the Cooperators, has countdown to kickoff tomorrow starting at 11. And we'll have the Rider pregame show at 1. Dave and Luke will have the call. Bombers and Riders. Kickoff goes at 2. And don't forget, when the Riders play, you can get the KFC Game Day Special, the Big Crunch for just $4.95, and the Big Crunch Combo for $7.95 at participating KFC locations. Time to take our final break on the show. When we come back, we will hear from Saskatchewan Roughrider running back A.J. Ouellette. This is the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. Well, Jays fans, we're off to a good start. It's the top of the second inning. Jays leading the New York Yankees 3-0. CFL Week 14, Lions, Red Blacks in the first quarter with about 8 minutes left. No score there. NFL tonight, Kansas City taking on LA, but they're in Brazil. Kickoff goes just after 6. And tonight, Leibel Field, Regina Rams taking on the University of Alberta Golden Bears. It's the home opener. Kickoff goes at 7. The pregame show right here on 620 CKRM will start. Brendan McGuire at 6:45. That'll do it for us today. Thanks for being part of the show. We appreciate it. If you missed any of it, you can always go back and listen to the podcast on demand on your timeline, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, including SportsCage.com. Andrew Paterson for Winnipeg Sports Talk was on. We had Farhan, Lalji, Mark McConkey, and voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, who had a chance to catch up with Riders starting running back A.J. Ouellette.
A.J. Ouellette, 9-2, entering the Labor Day rematch. I'm assuming things are all well in your world, right?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was great, right?
Yeah.
But today's today, tomorrow's tomorrow, so want to know every day.
You're at 802 yards rushing thus far in the season, and I know numbers don't matter to you. The number 9 in the win column probably does more. But if you rewind to yesterday, if you will, 365 days ago when you were battling through and trying to get your body right, where do you feel that you're at from then to now?
Night and day when it comes to preparation and getting the body to feel good. Feeling great now compared to then.
The offensive line, you talk about the communication that you have. Have things fallen into place? As one observer last week said that you and the offensive line are using some rugged running in the style that you're out there on the field with. Is that accurate? Is that a good description?
Yeah. Rugged is a great description to explain the run game compared to last year. I mean, you can see me basically skipping back there behind the O-line because they're pushing the D-line 5 yards back. So when I get a little head of steam, then it's bad for the DBs.
AJ, your touchdown last week, what's going through your mind when you see Jamarcus Hardrick, Jacob Bramer laying a path, a wide open swath, if you will, to get to the end zone?
You can't take false space, right? When you see a gap that big, sometimes you're waiting for a linebacker to flow over top, some type of twist game. But you hug it, and you see everybody's covered up, and you bend it back on the backside that we did there. One thing that kind of helped with that play was getting a receiver out of the box, which sent the DB that would have been filling that gap out of there to cover him. So it was just a great play call and great execution.
And I would submit that's a little bit in contrast to the not getting the punishing run that we talked about.
Yeah. Those are always nice, but when you can make a defense soar the next day, that's the running style that we want. And especially with this quick turnaround, we're hoping that they're still feeling it from the last game and know that we're going to come out with the same MO.
When it comes to those runs, how much pride do you take, or maybe it's even joy, when you're able to turn a 4-yard carry into a 6-yard carry by, getting those extra yards and carrying people along?
Yeah, it's always enjoyable for me. I don't know how much some football fans enjoy it, but to me that's true football, right? 3 yards in a bucket of blood's what I grew up with the wing T triple option style stuff. So yeah, in the CFL you're going to need the 5 yards in a bucket of blood just because you get that one less down.
So after a punishing game like the last one, how much do you feel that the day after?
I feel every game, right after, especially when the adrenaline drops off. You're walking a little slower, but after the wins, you walk with your head a little higher. So feeling good. It's part of the job, right? I felt the same way since I was in junior high after a football game.
So take me through a little bit of the conversations that you've been having with Andrew Harris. He commented to us back in training camp in Saskatoon that he wanted to have you not running through as many guys, but maybe adjusting your run style ever so slightly that might keep you healthier. Has anything changed?
Yeah, I think just kind of seeing the field and talking to the O-line, I think my yards before contact, I should say, have gone up tremendously compared to last year just by seeing it well and trying to make the first guy miss and just following blocks a little bit better.
Now, I did mention that you're over 800 yards rushing on the season. What would it mean to get to that 1,000-yard mark?
1,000 is the benchmark, right, to hopefully come back here next year. But getting the win's the most important thing this week.
Tell me a little bit about coming up in Winnipeg this week against a very hostile environment where you talk a lot about communication, whether it's the offensive line, your quarterback, the blocking assignments. How do you go ahead and make sure that you are prepared for that?
Yeah, right now it's just making sure everybody that has not been in those situations are comfortable and know what to expect. Been there many times, know how their fans are, what to expect, and just treat it like another game. Hopefully with the playoff feel to it. Hopefully there's a little brisk in the air like today.
Now, is this game have any more importance than any other one this season? Because a lot of people would suggest that this is just as big a game as Labor Day Classic, but that just happened to be last week's game.
Yeah, most important game right now because it's the next one, right?